What happens when a cafe owner goes undercover and finds out his own manager is humiliating customers with disabilities? Wesley Tanner stood at the edge of the parking lot, his breath puffing out in the chilly morning air. He pulled the baseball cap lower over his forehead, adjusted the fake beard glued to his jawline, and glanced again at the mirror clipped to the sun visor. The disguise looked good, real enough to fool anyone. After all, no one at this cafe location had ever met him in person. He built the business from scratch 7 years ago, just one coffee cart back then. Now it was 7 locations across the state. Most were doing fine, but lately, the drive-thru at the Elmwood branch had been racking up complaints. Orders wrong, rude service, long waits. Wesley hated going off second-hand reports, especially when things didn't add up. So he decided to go in and see for himself. He'd posed as a new hire sent over by corporate to help with staffing shortages. That part was true. 3 people had quit in the last 2 weeks, and the manager, Brett, was supposedly overwhelmed. But Wesley wanted to see if that was the whole story. He walked through the back door just before sunrise. The scent of burnt espresso and cleaning chemicals hit him immediately. A young woman, maybe early 20s, looked up from stocking pastries. Her name tag said Nora. "You the new guy from corporate?" she asked, brushing a strand of hair behind her ear. "Yeah, Will Thompson." Wesley gave her a tight smile. "Just here to shadow the drive-thru." "You Nora?" "Guilty. Welcome to the circus." She handed him a headset. "Brett's in the office. He doesn't really do mornings." Wesley blinked. "You're running this alone?" "Just for the first hour or so. I've got it down." She said it like it was normal, but there were dark circles under her eyes. He jumped in beside her, watching her juggle the register, prepare drinks, and keep her voice calm with every customer. She was fast, kind. Even when a man in a pickup truck changed his order 3 times, she didn't lose patience. By 8, Brett finally emerged. He was tall, lean, with slicked back hair and a look of constant boredom. "You the temp?" "Yup, Will. Don't get in the way. Just watch how it's done." Brett grabbed the headset and took over as cars lined up. Wesley stepped back, observing. He noticed how Brett barked orders at Nora but rarely lifted a finger himself. He barely greeted the customers. When someone asked for oat milk, Brett sighed loud enough for the mic to pick it up. But it was near 10 when the shift took a sharp turn. A small sedan pulled up. The voice on the speaker was slow, deliberate. Hi. IWW would like a small hot chocolate PP please." There was a pause. Then Brett laughed. "Great. Another broken record. Just spit it out. Buddy, we got cars behind you." Wesley froze. Nora's eyes shot to Brett. "Brett, come on, relax," he muttered, still holding the button. "It's not my fault the guy talks like a scratched CD." Wesley stepped forward without thinking. "Let me take this one." Brett looked annoyed but handed over the headset. Wesley leaned in, voice soft. "Sir, I'm so sorry about the wait. We've got your hot chocolate coming up right now. Please pull forward." The car inched ahead. A boy, maybe 17, sat behind the wheel, his face flushed and his hands gripping the wheel tight. He wouldn't look up when Nora handed him the drink. "On the house," she whispered, sliding it through the window. He nodded once and drove off. Wesley turned to Brett. "What the hell was that?" "It's a drive-thru, not a speech therapy session," Brett said, brushing past him. Nora looked like she wanted to say something, but didn't. Wesley felt his heart pounding. He wasn't even sure what to say. He knew he couldn't blow his cover yet, but he also couldn't let that slide. He spent the rest of the day watching closely. Brett didn't stop being rude to customers or staff. He belittled Nora for forgetting to stock lids. He laughed when a mom asked for a kid's temperature drink. But behind all that, Wesley saw something worse. the fear in the employees' eyes. Like this wasn't new. Like they were used to it. By the end of the shift, Wesley's back hurt and his jaw was tight. He followed Nora out as she clocked off. "You always cover the morning like that?" "Someone has to," she said, shrugging. "And Brett's not going anywhere." Wesley nodded slowly. "We'll see." The next morning, Wesley arrived earlier than the day before. He parked across the street, watching the lights flicker on inside the cafe. The air was still gray with dawn, and the quiet hum of traffic barely reached him. He wasn't in disguise this time, no beard, no cap, but he still wore the name tag that read Will. He needed to see what happened when people thought no one was watching. Inside, the atmosphere was subdued. Nora was already refilling syrups, her jacket still on. She glanced up when he entered but didn't say anything. Her eyes were duller today, like she hadn't slept. "I'm on drinks today?" Wesley asked, keeping his tone neutral. She gave a nod. "Unless Brett changes it again." He stepped behind the counter, tying his apron wordlessly. The tension that had lived in his neck since yesterday hadn't faded. He didn't know what he expected, maybe that Brett would feel some guilt after what happened, but the office door stayed shut for nearly an hour. By the time the morning rush began, customers were already stacking up in the drive-thru. Nora handled the headset again, her voice steady but rushed. Wesley worked beside her, pouring drinks, wiping spills, keeping pace. It was hard not to notice how many steps each task took in this location. Lids were kept in a cabinet across the room. The milk fridge opened halfway, sticking every time. The receipt printer jammed twice before he finally pulled it apart and fixed it. "You guys ever get repairs done here?" he asked, pulling a fresh roll of paper out of the drawer. Nora didn't look up. "Depends if Brett feels like calling it in." He didn't reply. The line outside moved slower than it should have. Not because of anyone's effort, but because everything in the cafe was working against them. At exactly 8:40, Brett emerged from the back. This time he was on his phone, one hand still adjusting his watch. "Move faster," he said to no one in particular. "Ticket times are dragging." Wesley handed off a drink without reacting. Brett looked at him, gave a nod that could have meant anything, and leaned against the back wall. He scrolled through something on his screen, then finally tapped the headset on his belt and took over the drive-thru. A few minutes passed. A car pulled up, and a woman's voice came through the speaker, older, hesitant. "Hi, can I ask what pastries you have today?" "You got eyes, don't you?" Brett said. "They're on the screen. Scroll down." There was silence. Then the woman tried again. "I am sorry. I'm blind. I can't see the screen." Wesley froze mid-pour. Brett leaned closer to the mic, his tone flat. "Then maybe a drive-thru's not where you should be ordering." Wesley turned to him slowly, his hands still gripping the cup. "Step away from the headset," he said quietly. Brett snorted. "You serious? Give it to me. Now." The two locked eyes. Brett held out the headset lazily, like it weighed nothing to him. Wesley took it and pressed the button. "Ma'am, I'm so sorry. We have a chocolate croissant, almond scone, and plain bagel today. Would you like me to list anything else?" A shaky voice replied. Chocolate croissant, please." "It's on the house," he said. "Come to the window when you're ready." He handed the headset to Nora without a word. "What are you doing?" Brett asked, still lounging against the wall. "You don't run this place." Wesley stepped close, his voice low but sharp. "You're done here. Clear out." Brett's laugh came fast, a sharp bark. "Excuse me? You heard me. Leave. Now." There was a beat of silence. Nora's hand hovered over the register. The only sound was the hum of the espresso machine. "Who the hell are you to tell me?" "I own this cafe," Wesley said, "and the 6 others just like it. You've been harassing customers, neglecting repairs, and treating your staff like they're beneath you. Effective immediately, you're fired. Brett took a step back, blinking. What are you talking about? You insulted a kid with a speech delay yesterday. Today, a blind woman. You've been collecting a paycheck while your team does all the work. Get your things. You're finished. Brett's mouth opened like he might argue, but nothing came out. He looked at Nora, then back at Wesley. I'll call HR, he said finally. Please do, Wesley said. I'll be waiting for their call. Brett didn't slam the door when he left. He didn't say anything else. Just disappeared into the back, then out the exit. The moment the door clicked shut, the silence snapped. Nora exhaled loudly, pressing a hand to her forehead. You're the owner. Wesley nodded. I wanted to see what was happening here myself. She leaned against the counter and let out a short laugh. Not amused, just disbelief. You've been watching all this? Since yesterday. She didn't ask why. She just nodded slowly. The rest of the shift moved differently. The tension didn't vanish. Stress doesn't disappear just because one person leaves, but there was a shift. Nora's shoulders loosened. The other barista, a quiet guy named Devin who'd come in for the midday rush, seemed more focused than before. No one had to look over their shoulder. After the rush died down, Wesley stepped aside and asked Nora to sit with him for 5 minutes in the empty seating area. She looked hesitant but followed. I need to know everything, he said. How long has this been going on? She folded her arms across her chest. Since I started. Brett was already here. He ran the place like it was his personal kingdom. If you complained, he cut your hours. You said 3 people quit this month? Yeah. 2 of them were high school kids. One girl cried in the back room after he called her stupid for mishearing an order. She left mid-shift and never came back. She paused. The 3rd was our baker. He'd open the cafe at 5 and bake everything fresh. Brett told him to speed it up or he'd be replaced. So he quit. Wesley ran a hand down his face. No wonder the pastries are all pre-packed now. Nora nodded. We're exhausted. But nobody wanted to lose their job. I get it, he said. And I'm sorry. I should have come sooner. She didn't say anything for a moment. Then, what happens now? I'm bringing in someone from another location, someone I trust to manage temporarily. But I'm not handing over the keys until I see this team's taken care of. I'll be here the next few weeks. You're staying? He nodded. Not undercover this time. Just present. She looked at him, almost like she didn't believe it. Can I ask you something? She said finally. Anything. Why didn't you just send someone else to fix it? Wesley thought about it. Because I used to be the guy who cleaned espresso machines at 5 in the morning. And I forgot what it felt like to be down here, doing the work that keeps everything running. I needed to see it again. And I needed to see what I let happen. She stared at him, then gave a small nod. You might want to fix the milk fridge, she said. I'm on it. The cafe was quieter the next afternoon, but the silence wasn't restful, it was cautious. Customers still came in, orders still flowed through the drive-thru, and drinks were still made with practiced speed. But something unspoken hung in the air. No one said Brett's name, but his absence echoed in the way people glanced at each other after every finished drink, gauging reactions like they were waiting for something to go wrong. Wesley had spent the morning making calls. He'd arranged for a temporary manager, Gina, from the Oakmont location to transfer in as soon as she could. She'd been with him since year 2, had run her store with compassion and precision, and wouldn't tolerate nonsense. But she couldn't arrive until the following week. That left 5 more days of him running things alongside a staff that had been walking on eggshells for too long. He'd asked Devin to take a short break, and the kid had looked at him like it was a trick. You sure? Devin asked, wiping his hands on his apron. Go, Wesley said. 15 minutes. It's fine. He watched him leave, then turned to Nora, who was cleaning the milk steamer with slow, practiced motions. Have you ever considered going into management? He asked. She looked up, wary. Here? Anywhere. She rested the cloth on the counter. I used to think about it. Before this place made it feel like a punishment. Wesley nodded. I get that. But if you ever want to talk about it, I'd listen. She didn't answer, just gave a small tilt of her head and went back to work. He didn't push. A beat-up Corolla pulled into the drive-thru. Wesley put on the headset. The voice was faint, hesitant. Hi, I was here earlier. I think I was overcharged for my sandwich. He kept his tone level. No problem. Can you pull up to the window so we can take a look? The car rolled forward. A woman in her late 50s leaned out, receipt in hand. Her eyes darted toward the door, then back to him. I wouldn't have come back. But the guy this morning, he was really rude. I just wanted to double-check. Wesley took the receipt and scanned it. She'd been charged for a combo instead of a single item. You're right. I'll refund the difference. She blinked. No argument? Nope, just fixing it. He handed her the cash and a voucher for a free drink. She stared at it, then at him. You're not the one from earlier, are you? No, ma'am. Well, good. She rolled up the window and drove off. Nora glanced over. You think there are more like her? People who didn't come back. Wesley didn't answer right away. Probably more than we'll ever know. The afternoon lull settled in. Wesley used the time to walk the floor, checking the condition of the equipment. Nothing had been deep cleaned in weeks, maybe months. He pulled out a bucket, filled it with hot water, and started scrubbing the grout behind the fridge. Nora looked startled when she saw him on his knees with a brush. You really don't have to do that. He didn't look up. If I'm going to ask people to care about this place, I better show I do. A few minutes later, she joined him, silently grabbing a second brush. By the time the dinner shift rolled in, the store smelled crisper. Not perfect, but better. Devin returned, and they worked together through the slow evening. Just before closing, a man came in wearing a button-down shirt with sleeves rolled to the elbows and an expression like he was already annoyed. He walked straight to the counter. I need to speak with the manager, he said. Now. Wesley stepped forward. That's me. The man crossed his arms. I was here last week. My daughter has Down syndrome. She came in alone, and whoever was working mocked the way she talks. She cried in the car all the way home. I want to know what you're going to do about it. Wesley felt his stomach drop. Did she happen to mention the name of the employee? Or what he looked like? I don't need to. I've already seen him. The guy with the gelled hair who always leans against the wall like he owns the place. Wesley nodded once. He no longer works here. The father blinked. What? He was terminated yesterday. It wasn't just your daughter. There were other incidents. The man's shoulders eased slightly, but his voice stayed sharp. That doesn't undo what happened. I know, and I'm sorry. I'd like to offer your daughter a free meal. Anytime she wants. No expiration. And if you ever decide to bring her back, I'll make sure she's treated with the respect she deserves. The man looked at him for a long moment. She liked the hot chocolate here, said it was better than Starbucks. She's welcome anytime. He gave a short nod, then left without another word. Wesley stood still for a moment, then turned to Nora. Did you know about that one? No, she said quietly. If I had, I'd have said something. He believed her. That night, Wesley stayed late. After the others clocked out, he turned off the lights, locked the doors, and sat at the front window with a notebook. He listed every piece of equipment that needed replacing, every system that had broken down. Then he started a second list names of employees who'd stuck it out. People who'd stayed even when conditions were unfair. People who hadn't quit. He wrote Nora's name first, then Devin's, then two others he'd only seen for one shift but who hadn't complained once. The next morning he arrived early again. He brought breakfast sandwiches from a local bakery and set them on the break room table with a note. "You deserve better. Let's start here." Devin walked in first, looked at the table, then at Wesley. "You do this?" "Yeah. Thought it might help." "It does." Later that day, a woman in a dark green sweater came through the door. She walked with purpose and waved at Wesley from across the room. "Gina," she said, offering her hand. "You ready for me?" Wesley grinned. "More than." He gathered the team for a quick huddle. Some looked nervous. Change always brings that, but Gina's energy was calm, steady. She introduced herself, then turned to Nora. "You've been the glue here, right?" Nora looked surprised. "I've just been showing up." "Well, I'd like you to be my shift lead. Officially." Nora's mouth opened, but no sound came. She looked to Wesley. "It's your call," he said. She nodded slowly. "Okay." Gina turned to Devin. "You're on drinks today. Let's see what you've got." The team moved quickly, slipping into rhythm. It wasn't perfect yet, not even close, but there was something new in the way they spoke to each other. Less guarded, more present. Wesley stepped back, watching the line move. A customer leaned in at the register. "Is it under new management?" He smiled. "Something like that." People noticed. Word spread. By the end of the week, familiar faces started returning. A woman brought her child in after school and ordered matching muffins. An older couple who used to come every Saturday morning sat by the window again. The place hadn't changed overnight, but people had, and that was the start. By late the following week, the Elmwood Café had started to breathe again. Not fully, but enough. Wesley walked through the back entrance with his sleeves rolled and a clipboard tucked under one arm. The air still carried the scent of espresso and cleaning solution, but something about it felt lighter now. The tension that had once soaked into the walls had started to lift, replaced by a cautious rhythm that, for the first time in weeks, didn't feel like survival. Gina was already at the front counter, reviewing the new register system with Nora. She glanced his way without breaking her pace. "You get the vendor call sorted?" she asked. "Confirmed. Milk fridge gets replaced Friday. And the leak under the sink gets fixed tomorrow." She nodded once and returned to Nora, who was adjusting the schedule draft pinned to the corkboard. "I'm still short on Thursday," Nora said, eyes scanning the grid. "Devin's got class that day." "Keep it open for now," Gina replied. "I'll pull in someone from Oakmont if we have to." Wesley stepped aside to give them space. The two had fallen into a working groove quickly. Nora wasn't hesitant anymore. She asked questions, made calls, checked inventory. The way she carried herself had shifted. Not louder, but steadier. Like she'd finally been given permission to take up space and wasn't planning on giving it back. A customer stepped inside, holding a printed flyer. "Is this still good?" she asked, tapping the coupon. "Free drink with sandwich?" Wesley motioned her forward. "Yes, ma'am. You want that hot or iced?" She smiled. "Hot. It's been cold lately." As he rang her up, another car pulled into the drive-thru. Nora stepped away from the schedule and grabbed the headset. "Welcome to Tanner's Café. What can I get started for you?" Wesley listened as she confirmed the order, no hesitation, no clipped tone. She even asked if they wanted a sleeve for their cup. It was the kind of detail that nobody had trained her to do. She just cared. After the rush settled, Wesley walked back to the break room. The new employee handbook, revised just 2 days ago, sat on the table. He opened it and flipped through the pages. Everything was there now. A code of conduct that left no gray areas, a clear outline for how discrimination or mistreatment would be addressed, and a hotline that went directly to him, not through layers of bureaucracy. He heard the door creak behind him. Nora stepped in, holding a small box. "From the delivery drop," she said, setting it on the table. "Muffin samples from the new supplier. Good timing." She leaned against the table and folded her arms. "You think people are really going to come back? Long term, I mean, they already are," Wesley said. "Not all at once. But enough." She nodded but didn't look convinced. "You're not sure?" "It's not that," she said. "It's just, people remember how bad it was here. Some of them probably think it's still the same." Wesley tapped the box in front of him. "Then we give them a reason to change their minds. Every single time." She didn't answer immediately. Then, "I've been thinking about the shift lead role. You want to step back?" "No. I want to go further." Her eyes met his. "I want to learn how to run the whole store, not just cover shifts." Wesley closed the handbook. "That's not a small ask." "I know," she said, "but I'm done waiting for someone to tell me I'm ready." He studied her for a beat, then nodded. "Let's start with inventory management next week. Then scheduling. If you're still interested after that, Gina will walk you through payroll." Her mouth tightened into something close to a smile, but more grounded. "Deal." At the end of the day, Wesley walked the floor with Gina. The two of them reviewed the daily closeout sheets, then checked the new drink displays that had arrived from corporate. "You're still thinking about that boy in the sedan, aren't you?" she asked, not looking at him. He didn't answer right away. "He didn't come back," he said finally. "And I don't blame him. Some won't," she said, "but some will. And the ones who do, they'll be the reason this place stays open." They passed by the front counter where Devin was finishing the last of the end-of-day prep. He moved with quiet efficiency, checking labels, wiping surfaces, logging the waste report. "Your team's solid," Gina said. "They weren't the problem," Wesley replied. She glanced at him. "You going back to the other stores?" "In a couple days." "You sure you're not sticking around?" "I was never supposed to be here this long." She gave a short nod, then started toward the office. Wesley stayed behind. He stepped outside and leaned against the wall near the trash bins. The sky above the shopping plaza was streaked with violet and orange, the sun dipping low behind the grocery store across the lot. He heard footsteps behind him. It was Devin. "There's a guy in the drive-thru," he said. "Didn't order anything. Just said he wanted to talk to the manager." Wesley stood up straight. "What's he look like?" "Mid-20s. Hoodie. Kinda nervous." Wesley walked to the window. The car was familiar, a small gray sedan. The same one. He stepped outside and approached slowly. The boy rolled down the window. "I wasn't going to come back," he said. "But my mom said you were nice, that you stepped in." "I'm really glad you came," Wesley said. "How can I help?" The boy hesitated. "I don't want free stuff. I just wanted to know if it's safe now." Wesley nodded. "It is. And it will stay that way." The boy looked down, then back up. "I liked the drink. Just didn't like how it felt." "I understand." He paused again. "Can I order the same hot chocolate?" "You got it." Wesley walked back inside and made it himself. He took extra care with the milk temperature, wiped the lid clean, and handed it over personally at the window. "No charge," he said. "But not because of what happened. Just because I'm glad you gave us another shot." The boy took it. "Okay." He didn't say thank you. He didn't need to. He drove off, and Wesley watched until the car disappeared around the corner. Inside, he returned to the counter, where Nora was updating the tip jar logs. Devin was wiping down the pastry case. "Tomorrow's truck comes at 6, Gina called from the office. "I'll be here," Nora replied. Wesley turned off the open sign. The cafe was still. It wasn't perfect. He didn't expect it to be, But it was honest now, and that was enough.